drop 'em. One hook and I'll rock 'em. One more and I'll stop 'em. Call the fighter, I'll off 'em. Op 'em. If he reach, then I'll pop 'em. Street sweeper, I'll wash 'em. Homicide, come and chalk 'em. Drop 'em. One hook and I'll rock 'em. One more and I'll stop 'em. Call the fighter, I'll off 'em. Op 'em.
The next topic we're going to discuss on Boxing Bros is, were you impressed with Teofimo's victory over Sandor Martin? Well, we'll discuss the fight, which actually we'll discuss. It was a split decision victory for Teofimo Lopez, and this happened during the post-fight press conference. All right, this video appears courtesy of Top Rank. Subscribe to Top Rank. They show old fights, interviews, and they also have little documentaries about some of the fighters that are with their company. So let's take a look at what happened at the end of the fight.
No, you didn't want to commit with me. You was running. You know that.
That's right.
In boxing. Every time you committed, you got hit. You didn't want to fight. I was touching. What's wrong with your nose? What's wrong with your lip?
In the first round,
what's wrong with your stomach? I was hitting
with the head, man.
You was running every time.
One knockdown is not deducted.
You was running the whole time. That's not how you entertain, bro. You was running the whole time.
I only win
every time you committed, I counted and I hit you. Every time you committed, I counted and I hit you. That's why you was running.
I point you every time.
I can't believe it.
It's the same.
I can't believe it. Yo, you guys got to give me a better dance partner. This guy was
dancing. That you show, but all the work.
The last 10 seconds of the 10th round, what was you doing? You was dancing and running.
Dame un segundo y ahorita vamos a platicar contigo, Teofimo Lopez.
Teos 1000.
Salute to Bernardo Asuda. He was like, listen, you got to speak to him in his language to calm him down. All right. Yeah, so I'm turning over to you, Conspiracy G. Were you impressed with Teofimo's victory over Sandor Martin?
Impressed by the victory? No, not really. However, the right man won. I'll say that. I felt like Martin was a runner, and first I'll say this: that headbutt was unfortunate, because the fact that a headbutt could cause that much damage to the dude's nose, I kind of feel like that must have played a factor in his performance, because the dude was breathing out his mouth the entire fight, right? And maybe if that headbutt didn't occur, maybe he would have been more brave to exchange with Teo, or like Timothy was calling him Teo. You know what I mean? But, like, the truth of the matter is, you can't win rounds running, right? Now, I've seen fights like this, right? Like Laura versus Canelo, where I don't like to admit this, but I'm like, I still believe Laura won that fight, even though Laura was running. But the only reason why I edged it to Laura is because every time they did exchange, Laura landed a good shot on Canelo. In this fight, Martin will be running. Teo is the one pressing the action, going for it. Now, Martin did get 2 knockdowns, right? One, I think, was official. The other one didn't count. But I don't know. They look like knockdowns to me. However, every other round, I give it to Teofimo, because Teofimo was actually trying to fight, while Martin was trying to dance and run away. To me, that's not boxing, yo. Like, I want to see guys fight. If you feel like, hey, Teofimo's just stronger than me, I get that. Utilize angles, but don't run. Especially in the last round. It was like the 10th round. Yo, literally, it was like the last 10 seconds. This dude decided to just get on his bike and just keep it moving. I'm like, this is the last 10 seconds of the fight. Don't you want to impress the fans? No. And then this dude had the nerve to raise his hands. Martin get on his knees screaming. I'm like, bro, you shouldn't be proud of that performance. Like, you should really be ashamed of yourself. I'm like, yo, who's this dude's trainer? Like, this dude really can't respect himself. He can't respect the fans. Like, I don't know. I get it, because this dude got lucky against Mikey Garcia. So I'm like, hey, it makes sense that to put him on. And that could be like, hey, he's the guy that beat Mikey Garcia, the great Mikey Garcia. I get it. But fighting like this is a disgrace to boxing. And I feel like the dude's a clown. And the fact that he was so butthurt at the fact that he heard them scores. Like, I was mad at one of the judges for scoring that he won. And I'm just like, yo, is this what we really doing as judges? Yo, we scoring runners now? I don't know, man. I can't really respect runners like that, man. So salute to Teofimo because he brought the action. He led with ring generalship. And I think you have to factor that in when a guy is literally running away because he's afraid to exchange with a guy that punches harder.
Dollar bill.
That was a lot. Yeah, no. I was impressed. Because Mr. Martin, man, he's a difficult fighter and he doesn't make anybody look pretty. You know, he makes it look ugly in there. He's a mover, he's a counter puncher, and he was catching Tio too when Tio would be a little reckless, you know, and he was coming in trying to chase him down. He was getting hit with some shots too. Was I impressed though? Yeah, I gotta say I was impressed a little bit. You know why? Because, you know, he was knocked down, well, off balance, but it was assisted by Martin's check hook, the right check hook that dropped him, you know. But he was able to, he was able to come back and to my eyes win the fight. You know, we've seen that happen before with Cambosis, but he lost, you know. To have that mental, not to give up on himself, you know, after being you know, dropped. He didn't feel like, oh, this is deja vu and going there and, you know, but I was impressed with that. So I'm not gonna put too much on Martin because, you know, he's a difficult fighter. You see Mikey had issues with him and so did him. Maybe it would have been a different fight. You know, he got that check hook in before the headbutt. You know, so maybe it would have been a different fight with the Gabe Martin if that headbutt because it definitely affected him. You know, but all in all, you know, after being dropped and coming back to win the fight, you know, it's impressive. It's impressive. You know, it's a lot of people who get dropped and they, you know, mentally they can't pull it together and they end up losing 1 point because they got dropped and it took them a while to recover. You know, but shout out to Teofimo Lopez, and I don't think he should be rushing to fight Taylor. I don't think he should be rushing to fight Taylor no time soon. I think maybe should think about fighting somebody else because I know he's a mandatory for 2 of those belts, but I think he should pump his brakes on that just a little bit.
All right, TBE.
Unfortunately, I did not see this fight, but I want to say this. Sandor Martin, you got to work on your trash talking. If you're going to talk back, you got to work on that. And I'm going to quote my man Capone, not Al Capone, Capone, the comedian, where he had a special on Def Comedy Jam where he said, when you cuss somebody out, you got to say from the diaphragm. You got to come from here. And you got to say with conviction, too. You got to let them know how you feel. If you feel some type of way, you got to say it seriously. I'm not going to say the words he said because we don't do this here. You know, we keep it clean. We keep it proper. But Sandor, work on that. Work on your trash talking. And go watch that special if you see this. All right?
Well, can I also add, though, when Trill brought up the 2 knockdowns, those 2 knockdowns were due to Teofimo's performance. My man will come in leading with his lead hand on the ground, coming in like that. That was foolish. His defense was horrible. You know, he didn't utilize angles. A lot of things that Teo did was to his detriment. So I just wanted to pose that as well.
Yeah, just to add, I mean, I feel the same way as most of you. I scored the fight 96-93 for Teofimo Lopez, so I thought he won. I thought that Sandor Martin showed the ability to counter here or there, but I feel like his whole strategy was to wait for Teo to throw and then try to counter. And it just felt like if Teo would have just stood there, Sandor would have just stood there and they would have just watched each other all night. That's what it felt like. And to me, that's not going to win you any rounds. It was like we needed Teofimo Lopez to press the action, or else there would have been no action. So it's kind of like, okay, like you said, he was running. Like, it wasn't even a sense that like he was running that bothered me. It was that he didn't want to lead at all. It was very rare that he would lead. He just waited for Tio to throw in and try to counter. And it just became real boring. And it was just like, if Tio wanted to, he could have just stood there and they would have just stood there and it would have been a really boring fight. And I think that's why you heard Tio saying like this was a real boring fight, because Tio was like, if I didn't try to engage, then this never would have been nothing. And so he's saying like, get me another dance partner, because like, it's almost like you got a dance partner, but the other person refused to move until you pick them and take them and you dip them, and then when you sitting there dancing, they don't do nothing, and then you grab them, you around, dip them, and you put them back, and you want dancing, and they're just sitting there, standing there, waiting for you to come back and spend. It's just like, if the only offense you generate is off of the other person trying to generate offense, and you never try to lead, do you really deserve to win? I think that's what you were getting at, G. And I think I feel the same way. It's kind of like, yeah, even if you got the better of an exchange, it's almost like, well, Tio had to initiate it. Like, you're not initiating anything. And that's not to say you can't win a fight counterpunching, but he just sat there really the entire fight looking to counter. And occasionally he won an exchange, but Tio would do a damn good job opening up. And that's a safe strategy, because he never wanted to lead, because he never wanted Tio to counter him. And as you know, because he did get hurt early in the fight, it was something that I noticed. Another thing is, the first knockdown I thought was an official knockdown. The second knockdown I think was correctly not called a knockdown because it was behind the head. So where he's saying that like I landed a knockdown and it wasn't counted, it shouldn't have counted because you hit him behind the head. So he was a little off balance and you landed the punch behind the head. So to me, it shouldn't have counted. But on my scorecard, even if it did count, you still would have lost. So Sandor Martin feeling like he won. It is what it is. People criticizing Teofimo Lopez. Remember, I said this back when he lost to Kambosos. When someone's like a 7-1 favorite and the underdog competes or even has a close round, there's the tendency to want to swing it to the underdog because you had no expectations for this person and they came out competing. But that's not the way we're supposed to judge fights. That's not the way we're supposed to score. And if you scored it like who earned it, to me, it's no question that Teofimo Lopez won the fight. And I didn't think it was a split decision. I feel like it should have been unanimous as well.
Let us know how you feel in the comment section. Please like and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter. And please check out our podcast on all major streaming services. We are the Box.